one of the reasons why that happens is they are not taught themselves of how to talk on this topic. Whatever we were trained, like I will say parents of my generation, whatever we were talked about was on just basic hygiene probably, and maybe a mother to daughter talk on how to wear your pads, or how to wash your cloth. That was the only talks we have had with our parents. So we are not trained how to handle this topic. Nobody in the society is talking about it, and we humans learn when somebody teaches us, or if we've seen somebody doing it. So I think that is the challenge our parents are facing today, that even when they understand the challenge teenagers are facing with their devices and the bombardment of information that is available to these teenagers, when they actually want to talk about it, they don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to initiate the conversation. They don't know where to begin from. And sometimes what happens, if they start talking, it becomes like another lesson for the child, which they are not interested in talking about. So the right approach to talk about topics like these, or what exactly the attitude to have to be comfortable with the subject. So these are the few challenges parents are facing in today's times when it comes to talking about sex and sexuality. And the biggest role that plays is they themselves are not talking about their own sexual life with their own partners. So there has been no experience at all of how to talk, when it comes to sex and sexuality. So I think these are the major reasons why a parent cannot initiate talks even when they want. So most of the parents do have this myth that if we talk about sex or sex education, that is all the other topics that are related to sex and sexuality, they will experiment with it. Because children are curious, one, and whenever they're curious about something and they get the knowledge, they will want to try it out. But something like sex education is not something that children try out, because when we are talking to them or giving them education about what sex is and what are the pros and the cons, or what are the consequences, they understand that. They are not children anymore who are 5 and 6 years of age. They do have that much maturity where they can comprehend. More than understanding, I will use the word comprehension, because they do comprehend that what are you trying to tell them. That yes, I want to tell you what sex is, or what rape is, or where are these places that you need to be careful about. So teenagers do understand what is the right approach to things, where do they have to be careful, what is the safety measures, because they've been told to, and they've been educated about it. So it is a myth that all children will experiment. I cannot guarantee 100%, because yes, there are some children who love taking risks and may still experiment, but that they're going to experiment any which ways without your education also. What works is that you are giving them the understanding that it's not okay and you can fall into trouble, not only pregnancy-wise. So when they know that there's a bigger risk, very, very few children, very few as in literally nominal percentage of children might still experiment. Most of them understand that. And it depends a lot on the raising and the environment of your home. So you have to ensure that these kind of education is given to children. Like any other safety measures or health concerns that you would talk to them about, this is something you should talk to them about. Even a simple thing like kissing, you should educate them who to kiss, when to kiss, what to take care of. It's very important in today's times. So don't be scared. I understand the fear, but there is no need, but go ahead and do educate your child. The right time to start educating your child on sexuality per se is now. Find out what the age appropriate content is that your child needs to know about, even if it means it's a little late. So maybe if you have a teenager like a 15-year-old and now you think whether I can still talk about wet dreams, yes, go ahead, talk about it. Let them know either from a story from your own life, or you can say, oh, I read this book and this topic came up. I never spoke to you about it, but how are you placed? Do you understand what it means? Or it could be simply like a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old child who just got sanitary pads in their hand. Initiate a talk from there that, do you know what it is? Do you know what mama goes through? Or do you know what I go through, depending on which parent is talking? And pick up a conversation. Pick up a conversation from everyday stories of what's happening in the world. If your child is of that age where you can talk to them about whether it's rape or whether it's shaming a woman about the clothes she wears, or domestic violence, or how men are also targeted wrongly, take up all these social issues and start talking to them. Sex education does not mean only talking about sex. It means all these topics, which means safety and health, sexual health and sexual safety for your child. Whether it is safe, unsafe touch, whether it is puberty, whether it is the sexual intercourse, relationships, STDs, all of that, it is important that you talk to them now. It is extremely important to understand how to enable your child to be able to say no. Very, very important, because there will come lots of situations where your child is uncomfortable doing something but does not know how to say it. Because if you remember, when your child is 2 years or 3 years of age, they do realize that they have the power to say no, and most of their answers are no. Whatever you tell them or ask them to do, they will first say no. So that is where the child is learning to exercise the right to say no. And what we parents actually do is we shut them, we scold them, we explain to them that why are you saying no for everything? That is the time where you begin to teach them that, okay, I get it that you don't want to do it, but when you do this, A will happen, B will happen, C will happen. What are the consequences, good and bad? So that is where you begin to start having conversations and teach your child to think rationally, to know all the aspects of the information. They may not understand at that age, but it's a practice that you begin. And when that becomes a habit, and when your child becomes a little more older, which is like 7-8 years, they also learn to negotiate with you. So all these phases of life are actually life lessons. They are opportunity for you to teach your child these things. So don't start scolding your child when your child says no. Take that opportunity and talk to them about what are the pros and cons, and let them decide whether it is one more bite of food that they are refusing, and you're like, oh, mama ke liye kha lo, oh, papa ke liye kha lo. Don't do that. Let the child decide, and you are also teaching respect, consent and respect in the same moment. I respect that you don't want to eat anymore. I will ask you, how about eating half a roti? Maybe you get hungry after every half an hour. The child will still say no. So respect that no. That is where you're teaching the child no means no. So don't let these opportunities go. And it's very important, whether it's bullying, whether it's somebody being unfair to them, letting them know that you can take a stand for yourself, or any case of abuse. When it comes to the media part of it, whether it's the body image, I think all types of media, and you used the correct word, there is an explosion of this information. Earlier, it used to be that one magazine that used to come home, or another magazine that you read at your friend's place. But now it's all on the fingertips. All the information and bombardment of how you should look, and what is called sexy, and what kind of body image you should have, so that people feel attracted to you, is a bombardment, and there is an explosion. And pornography adds to that. Now here it is all about which lipstick you should use, and what type of clothes you should wear, what type of hair you should have. From that to what kind of sex you should have, what kind of penis length you should have, what kind of shaved vulva you should have, because of which your partner will then like you. So pornography is not only talking about the sex per se, it is completely wrong information. In real life, people do not wear makeup in bed. In real life, people do not make their hair before sleeping. In real life, It's not the kind of sex that is shown in pornography of how people actually in real life people have sex. They show half an hour of sexual intercourse where there is moaning, there are different angles that they are shooting, and there is half an hour of the activity going on. In real life, it does not happen that way. In real life, it is just a matter of 5 to 10 minutes once the penetration is done. And children are understanding sex in a very different manner altogether. Now, obviously, sex is not going to be seen in the real life, okay? And parents are not talking about it. So what actually happens in the real life, they don't know. And all the education they're getting is from the real life. So it is going to affect the child's mind. It is an understanding that, oh, it has to be like this. Then people will like you. You are supposed to be submissive. You are supposed to be dominating. You're supposed to have muscles. You're supposed to have 6+ inches of penis. Because then there are other advertisements where they are saying, oh, I will tell you how to increase your breast size. Oh, I will tell you how to increase your penis size. Buy this product, buy this. And children are falling for it. I'm glad you made that point, because while we are talking about the physical aspect of it, a lot of us do not talk about the emotional and the spiritual aspect of sex. Now, whenever you are talking about the pros and the cons, always ensure that you put in the emotional and the spiritual aspect. So when you say don't have sex, don't make it a shut door for the child, because later on they are going to have sex and they should be looking forward to it rather than shutting it out of their life, saying that this is bad and this is sin or this is wrong. Nobody is saying that. You should have sex for the right reasons. What is your motive is what you need to understand. So making your child aware about how beautiful it is when two people who respect each other, who admire each other, who love each other, come together in this unison where two people are sharing their energies and bodies. And what a beautiful feeling it is, because I and your dad are together, or I and your mother are together, and I know of it. I know how it keeps us together. So sharing these kind of emotions is also very important. Talking about heartbreaks is also a part of sex education. Letting them know that, yes, when you have sex with people, there is a part of emotion that brings you two together. It's not just physical. It may start as a physical thing, but emotions do come in. Or you may be emotional about a person and sex will come in. So either ways, both are going to be there. So how are you going to manage it? How are you going to take care of yourself? All that becomes a part of sex education. So don't just talk about the physical part of it, talk about the spiritual and the emotional part of it. This generation is way more open to the topic of sex and sexuality. They do not attach shame or guilt to the extent we used to attach. Of course, they do have the feeling of shame and guilt when something wrong happens, but per se to talk about a topic or to hug another colleague or to kiss somebody who you really like, not lip to lip, but generally the physical expression is much more liberal now than it was earlier. So that part definitely gives them a little more room to talk about it, whether it's digital or outside. That I'm not worried about. But yes, because of the okayness, there is a lot of sexting happening. There is a lot of pictures being shared. And these children don't understand the consequence of that. And it is something that a parent should sit down with their children and tell them that I understand that you may not be doing it today, but in case if it happens tomorrow, these are the consequences. The pictures that you share are going to be on the internet forever. Anybody can have the ability to extract those pictures and make you vulnerable, blackmail you about it. Or it could be shared. You may trust a person today, but it can be shared later on, or for multiple reasons. So yeah, I think parents need to sit down and have a chat, because the culture of sex being okay is the new culture of today. And teenagers are definitely much more I will say okay about it. Yeah. When you as a parent talk to your teen that I will be there for you no matter what. If you've done something wrong, you may have consequences, but I will support you to go through the consequences, not save you from the consequences. Okay, that's not the attitude a parent should show. Go through the consequences. Don't worry. Don't worry about the world. I am there for you. That child will come to you for guidance. Now what do I do, mama? This person or papa, this person is blackmailing with these pictures. Okay, so now that you have already put out the pictures, this is what's going to happen. The pictures will go, will be spread like wildfire. A lot of your friends and a lot of your colleagues or your teachers are going to see these pictures. And I want you to know you did something in the heat of the moment, and I get that. But I don't want you to feel guilty or shameful about your body that other people are going to watch. I am here with you. If there is any situation you can't handle, come back to me. We will do it together. That is going to remove all the guilt that a child has had about that situation, all the worry about what the people are going to talk about me. Yes, we did something in the heat of the moment. I trusted the person and I shared. Now, this is something that can happen even to an adult, right? So what is wrong if it happened to a teen? Trusting somebody is not wrong. Giving somebody something that's precious to you because you love that person is not wrong. But yes, at the same time, things like these happen. So it is best avoided on a digital platform. Let the person, now see, teenagers, when I say it can be a 13-year-old and an 18-year-old. So if it's an 18-year-old and an adult, he is more than welcome to be the sexual self that he is. But if the child is younger, then the parent has to be there for them. So the parent support will give the child the confidence. When it is puberty for girls, we specifically talk only about periods. At least there's one topic to talk about. When there are other topics also which parents do not talk, which is like breast development or the emotional changes that a girl is going through, that is also ignored. And boys is completely ignored. A parent needs to talk to a boy about his erections, about the semen production, about the sperm production, about wet dreams, which is so important. Now, these are the times when a boy can actually go under thoughts like, I am urinating in the night and there is something desperately wrong with me. Something is happening to me and I am so big that I can't even go and talk to my parents about it, saying that I am urinating in the middle of the night, which is actually not urination, it's the ejaculation of semen. So if a parent does not tell a boy, he grows up with a lot of low self-esteem, not understanding how a big boy like him can urinate in bed during night. So equally important, and even boys are going through emotional changes. His voice is cracking, he's going to have hair on his body, how to maintain hygiene. All these points are important to talk to a boy too. He is also going to be sexually attracted to another person. How to handle that? It's all, so see, puberty just becomes that simple beginning to a more complex topics. So whether it's a girl or a boy, it's very important to talk to them about the physical development, emotional development, and the sexual development. So don't ignore whether it's girls or boys. Talk to both. Message to the teens out there is don't hesitate to ask questions. Even if your parents don't initiate the talk, you initiate it to anybody who you trust. But before jumping into action, learn about it, educate yourself, and then go into it. Don't just jump into something that you're not prepared for. Absolutely. I completely echo not only your words, but even your tone and even the way you said it, that come on, parents, just get up and go out there to learn it, to educate yourself, and then to educate your children. Times are not the same that we have. These children have a lot of information on the tips of their fingers which could be wrong, and you don't want your child to fall into trouble. So the least you can do is educate them. So please don't hesitate, educate yourself and then educate your child. Thank you so much for having me on the Parent Circle, and it's a fantastic platform. I enjoyed being here and I hope I've added some value to it.